of the year. This book is one of the most influential books I've read this year. It really did transform the way I think about myself and the way I prioritize my self-health. It's one of the things that I struggle with day to day and putting myself and my needs first. So I highly recommend this book. It really did change me, tremendously. I think it'll help a lot of people, a lot of teachers, a lot of professionals. So I highly encourage it. It's definitely going to change the world. So highly recommend.
Well, hello and welcome to the TalkShow Maven Live show. We appreciate you being here, and we are super excited because we have a great guest that we want to introduce you to today that I know if you are in the teaching industry, you're going to absolutely love her. So sit back, relax. In fact, you might want to grab something to write with so you can take some copious notes, because this you are not going to want to miss, especially now when, the teaching community is doing so much to get our kids back on track, and you need help, you need assistance too. And today we hope to give you exactly what you need. Raven Blair Glover, and this is TalkShow Maven Live. All right. Welcome again. We are here and ready to go. Thanks for being here, and thanks for sharing us with a friend. We appreciate that. Listen, if you are a teacher or you're in the teaching industry, you know how hard you work, right? You know what it takes and how much more effort it takes, even more so now, since the pandemic and beyond, than it did before. Well, I'm super excited to tell you that we have the perfect guest for you today. In fact, she's a teacher, she's an author, poet, mentor, and coach. And guess what? She helps good teachers become great by bringing them from burnout back to a balanced life. Yeah, her name is Kendria Johnson. We're so glad that you're here, Kendria. Welcome to the show. Yes, calm down. She's going to give you the juice. She's going to give you the juice. They're all excited. How you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, Miss Raven. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you're here. Wow, the teaching world, as if it wasn't hard enough, before 2020, it's gotten quite harder now, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's quite right. Because what has happened since the pivot, there's a big, huge shift of what we do, and people have gone home for 2 years, and then they're hesitant about coming back into the workplace. And on top of that, every other industry has kind of, incorporated the new technology that we've acquired over the pandemic, whereas teaching has gone right on back to the way it was before. But people have changed, their mindsets have changed, their priorities have changed. They realize, I don't have to put up with all that stress.
Yeah, really.
I can do this from home. And get the same kind of, paychecks and everything else. I can do the exact same thing. All these meetings we were having before.
Yeah.
All those things can be done online now. Wow. And so people's mind shifts have changed, but the job and the requirements have not. So now there's a shift. Yeah, there's a huge shift.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing that we're going to focus on today, because we can't solve all the teaching problems. Some things just can't be helped. I know one of the things that we want to focus on today is showing the teachers how to go from good to great and getting that balance so they can continue doing what they love, right? Mm-hmm. But without the stress. So tell us more about that, Kendra.
Well, there's 3 types of teachers that contact me. I started my business right before the pandemic. I did start with an online course trying to help people, get through the kind of get to the 6 steps that I've acquired over the last 10 years. And there's 3 types of teachers that contact me. The first type of teacher is kind of like me. We love what we do. We're exhausted, tired. We lack that balance. We don't have much time with our friends and family, and we have lost that balance that we used to have. And then the second type of teacher is a teacher that's like a robot. They don't even love it anymore. They just do it because it's a job. I get summers off, get 2 weeks for Christmas, I don't even remember the kids' names half the time. They're just going through the motions. They've lost that passion. They've lost that fire. And then they come to me for help. And then there's that third teacher. That third teacher is the one that basically the book is for, where they have one foot out, one foot in, one foot in, one foot out. Kendra, I don't know how many more years of teaching I have left inside of me. This might be very well my last year, because I have said that. And if at every point in my life, in my career, I've probably been one of these teachers at least once or twice. Then that last one, I said that for 4 days. I said for 4 years, this is my last year. I said that every year for 4 years. This is my last year. This is my last year. So it really was. I wasn't my last year, clearly, if I'm still doing it. But I was so frustrated and so exhausted and so tired, and I didn't have anybody to talk to about what I was going through. And eventually, I asked for help, and that's what made all the difference. So my book is about it chronicles that journey. My program chronicles that journey, tries to help teachers get out of that rut and really think clearly about what they want to do and where they want their careers to go.
Yeah, and you said something a couple minutes ago. It was like you needed help. And so I've learned as a mentor myself that from us getting the help we need and learning what the missing link is, it helps us to kind of pass it on to others that are dealing with the same issue, right?
Correct.
Because we've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt, drank out the coffee cup, right? So we can relate to them, which is what most of our clients need. I think, it's good to be, a book read person. And then there's other people that are really involved in the trenches, and that's how you are. You are in the trenches. Yes. So as we know, technology and things change, and by you actually still being in the trenches of things, not only are you able to pass it on, but you still know what works and what doesn't work, right?
Yeah. And then, within 5 minutes of my clients contacting me, I kind of know where the problem is, because I always let them talk. I said, write down what your issues are, and then I let them talk for like 10 or 15 minutes. And I know usually in the first 5 minutes, sometimes it's an administrative problem. They're working with the wrong people. Okay. And sometimes it's a position. They don't like what they teach. They don't like the grade level in which they teach at, and they don't like their school. And then sometimes it's something that's coming from within, that they're not satisfied with something in their personal life, and then they're transferring that back into their professional life. So whatever that is, I try to listen first. Then I just do what all coaches do. I try to guide them and lead them. The choices are still theirs. What they want to do with it is what they choose to do.
Yeah. You're just assessing the situation and giving them feedback on how you feel you can help them with their issue. What's the main reason, the number one reason teachers call you?
Believe it or not, they don't call me because they're dissatisfied with their pay. They call because they just want to be heard. They need a shoulder and an ear and an intelligent ear, someone who's been there. That's the difference between coming to see me and going to see a regular therapist.
Right.
I remember when I went through a therapist, and I spent half an hour explaining all of the terminology that comes with education. So teacher to teacher, they understand.
Yeah.
I understand when they say things like, and then they gave me 6 classes back to back and then gave me duty. I know what that means.
Yeah. They may not know it, but you know.
I know exactly what that means. I'm like, no, they didn't. They did not do that. You need to stop that right in their track, because what that means is they taught 6 classes back to back in a row, and then they had to work during their lunch period. That's what that means when they say duty. So they just sometimes just need somebody to listen to them and give them advice about what to do, which is what coaches do.
So you make them feel like they just didn't make a call to another person, but they're actually speaking with someone that's going to take the time and not rush them and let them say what they need to say, right? Instead of cutting them off, so that if they're feeling, like they're, dismissed or not heard, you're going to give them that comfort right there that, hey, I'm sorry for whatever happened to you in the past, but now you have the floor. Let me know what's bothering you. And I'm just going to sit here and listen and then give you feedback,
Exactly.
Because you won't know if and how you can help them until you listen anyway, right?
Right, exactly. And they feel a sense of shame to tell someone close to them. Like they don't want to feel like they're weak. They don't want the other person in their circle to think that they're weak. So I'm the perfect person to come to because I don't know anybody at their school. I don't know their principal. They can tell me anything they want to tell me, and it's confidential between me and them. But if I'm a coworker, they're more hesitant to talk to me because they think I'm going to take that information and use it against them. I don't. So what I do is perfect. What I do in my position now is perfect because as a mentee, like the official one that I used to be at my school, they didn't always receive me well.
Yeah. Now you're your own boss. You the boss of me, girl.
Right. Well, just think about it. If a new teacher comes in and they just stick me with her, and then they see all this hair and these teeth, and they like, I don't know about her. They don't. But now I'm chosen. They choose to come to me.
Well, let me just say, your hair is looking good and your teeth are looking great. So, they got a problem. That's them. That's not you. So that's the number one reason. Give us just a couple other reasons. I know you may have mentioned it before, but just for people that are just joining us, what are a couple other major reasons? And you got a couple minutes on this.
Okay. So the first reason is they don't feel heard. They don't feel respected. The second reason
respected. I missed that one.
Yeah, they don't feel respected. They don't feel respected. You can ask any teacher. If you ask 10 teachers, they're not going to say money first. Money's coming. It's on the list. But it's not going to be lack of money. It's going to be lack of respect. And it could be something from the higher ups or the children or the parents, right? Then they feel they don't feel heard. And then they don't feel they don't know how to say no. There's no balance for them. They don't feel like, they're being pushed into too much work. Overloaded. Just like the teacher that was working six classes in a row. And then you complain about it and it's like, well, what's the problem? What's the problem? What's wrong with 6? You're here to work, right? 6 classes in a row. Well, I don't get a bathroom break. I don't get to eat. Those kinds of things. And the teacher then feels like if they bring it up, then they feel like they put themselves at odds with their administrator by speaking up. Where I come in, I tell them things like, but you have a right to ask for what you want. They'll just have to get over it. And you just keep asking for what you want until they give it to you.
Until they give it to you.
Yeah. Because you have a right to say, I need a break. I can't work 6 in a row. Somebody needs to come and take one of the classes off of me or rearrange my schedule. There's nothing wrong with that. You should not be worried about losing your job for sticking up for what's right. And I always advise them, I say, you know what? If you get in trouble for asking for what's right, that is not the right environment for you to be working in.
Time to go.
And it's not going to get any better through me.
Yeah.
Right?
What's that third reason, would you say?
Oh, the third reason that teachers come to me or their is they don't take care of themselves. Now that has nothing to do with the outside world. When they tell me all that, that's a balance issue. They come to me and they tell me all these things. I'm like, well, where are you on that list? You're not getting enough sleep. I hear that. You're not eating correctly. I hear that. I hear you. I have a client that drinks way too many energy drinks. And I said, I hear that. So that means you're tired. And I hear this and I hear that. I said, where are you taking care of yourself? Because you can't depend on an administrator to do that. Principals are not going to force you to get some rest when you get home. That's something you have to do.
Yeah.
Right. So that self-care issue is a major issue for teachers because we've been taught that as teachers, we have to give and give and give and give and give. But you can't give from an empty cup. You can't pour anything out.
Come on now. For sure. You can't give from an empty cup. That is so true. Okay. So you talk to them, you've assessed them, you listen and you assess their situation. Now what? I mean, what can they learn from your program And is that the time when you tell them about your program? And if so, like I said, what can they learn from it? What are some of the benefits?
Well, the one-to-ones are easier. They're the most beneficial part of what I do, because one-to-one is just confidential information that you can just give to me. But they come to my workshops usually. I meet people at my workshops. I'll have a call, altar call for all teachers who need some support. And then they come to my 3-day workshop where I teach them certain skills. And then we talk about everything we just talked about here. And it's all in a program, and it's all listed in a program. Each module and each skill set is there.
Can you give us maybe a couple, list a couple works real quick?
My
Just an
program
example,
is
maybe
called
3 or 4.
Yeah, it's really an acronym, and it's TEACH. That's TEACH. All of those have their own skill set that I teach. So the T stands for theory, which is like a map that we create for their career. Then E stands for evolve, because we teach teachers how to evolve in their career. Because if you don't evolve, and then A, we teach them how to adapt. That's the major part. You have to adapt to all the changes around you, or else you're going to get swallowed up and you're going to feel overwhelmed. C is commitment. Commitment is not to do with the job. Commitment has to do with you. Are you going to commit to yourself on the things that we talk about in this workshop? And then H is happy. We teach teachers how to be happy. Yeah, got to be happy. Happy teacher make happy kids. Happy kids make happy grades.
There you go. And yeah, the whole school environment is better that way.
Yeah.
And so you were telling us about the different classes, different modules. So their starting point, first of all, in your system, are they going from A to Z, or do they like get the course and they can just pick where they from? I got a feeling that some teachers may want to know that.
Okay, well, there's the modules, and the online course is different from the workshop course. But the online course, they can start and stop and start wherever they want, and it has modules about how to deal with parents, how to deal with difficult students, how to deal with difficult administrators, how to balance your time better, how to manage your time, how to create a schedule for yourself. There's little bitty things and snippets about everything that you would want. So let's say you're having problems with classroom management. You don't necessarily have a problem with your parents, but you do have a problem with classroom management. You can go straight to that. I think that's module 3. So the online courses are there along with the workshop, and the workshop is basically teaching you how to deal with things around you and your environment that you control. And then the online courses are teaching you how to deal with the school system and what's beyond your control and what you can do within it. Because I even cover the politics part of education, because it's such a big thing. It's like I can't change the laws that are being made about us, but here's what I can teach you about how to navigate through it.
Gotcha. Wow. Listen, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Talk Show Maven live show, and our guest today is Kendria Johnson, and she's a teacher, author, poet, and mentor, as well as coach. Kendria is sharing some of her insider proven tips and strategies on how to love what you do without burning out fast by, I guess you could say Kendria is working smarter and not harder, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, and just to give you just full disclaimer, I am still a teacher.
I know
still get stressed out.
Yeah, that's
why I still get stressed out. I'd be like,
yeah, you're still in the trenches.
I gotta take my own advice every once in a while, and I have to read my own book and what I wrote. Let's see what I wrote. What did I write about a day that I like today? It happens. But because of what I've learned and what I teach people, holds me accountable. It holds me accountable, and then I can share. Hey, I had a bad day the other day. Guess what I did? And so,
well, you helped a lot of people, because I'm looking at one person that they wrote that you were you had a client that was a middle school art teacher, if I'm not mistaken, who was forced to teach English, and after 2 years of mentoring with you, she found the job of her dreams. Tell us about that.
Well, Tanya was she was assigned to me, and we hit it off pretty well. So that first year we were together, she really, really loved art. That's all she talked about every single day was art. That's all she wanted to do. Well, the principal moved her to English, And so the way it was set up, you only get a mentor 1 year. So the next year she was just like, hey, can I talk to you? Yeah, come on in. You know, she wasn't officially my mentee anymore, but that doesn't matter. We were still friends. And that's all she talked about. And so I told her what to do. I said, you're going to have to go in there and plead your case. And then there's just 3 W's that I talk about in the again, these are all developed over time. Those 3 W's were, what do you want? How do you want to go about getting it? What will you do to go get it? And what will you do? What are you willing to sacrifice or give up to get what you want? And after 2 years of asking and pleading for them to put her back into art, the principal refused to move her. So I said, what are you going to do? She said, I think I'm going to have to leave. Bye. I said, yeah, put in your resignation. There's all kinds of people that want your services. So she went to a job fair once, and she gave her resume out to as many schools as possible. She had like 10, 12 job offers. She could pick and choose what she wanted. And I said, I told you, there's always somebody that wants your skill set. Yeah. And if your principal doesn't appreciate what you're bringing to this table, you have to die alone. Yeah.
Wow. You know, and here's what Tanya had to say. Tanya Wilkins at Madison High School, the art teacher, she says this. She said, I took Kendria's advice and got exactly what I wanted. It was scary, but I had to figure it out what I was willing to do to get the job I wanted. You know, here's a sure case of wanting to do what she loves, but doesn't want the stress and all that, you know, and wanting to do it on your terms. And it's okay, even as a teacher. I mean, this is the world we're in right now. People have choices. That's why so many people, like you were saying earlier, schools included, are having such a hard time getting people back to work, because they're like, during the pandemic, as awful as the pandemic was, they enjoyed being able to make it to little Johnny's soccer game and Susie's recital, you know, being with their husband more. So they realized the time they're not in that traffic and the time they're not having to go to meetings and all this crazy stuff, now they can have a life. Yes. And a job instead of a job and maybe a piece of life. I think that's interesting. There's another commercial that not a commercial, testimonial that, you know, I found very interesting that I would like for everyone to take a listen to. And then we'll come back with more from Kendria Johnson right after this.
Hey there, beautiful people. And let me tell you about this book, Teacher of the Year, by my amazing friend, Kendria Johnson. I am a global educator. I have many friends who are educators, and we all know what it's like to ask, is this really my purpose? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? After we spend 20 plus years in a classroom, we are constantly finding ourselves burnt out from the continuous unrealistic expectations that many teachers are facing right today. This book, Teacher of the Year, will help you to evaluate and reevaluate your purpose, give you the tools you need to get back on track, or to decide that perhaps there are other educational pursuits for you. You don't want to go another day without the book, Teacher of the Year. Get your copy today.
Oh, wow. So on top of your courses and your master class and stuff, you got a book. Tell us a little bit about that. Teacher of the Year. Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Well, the master classes and the online courses came first because they were birthed out of the pandemic. When you're sitting alone a lot, you're like, you know what, let me get this idea out of me. And then the book came through that. So it started out with 6 steps to successful teaching. And then it was, how to become an effective educator. And then I could just combine all of that to what would I tell my former self at the height of my burnout? What would I have said? And those 6 steps, those 6 things that I wrote down in the book are what I would tell anyone who's going through it. Figure out what you want. Where is your passion? Where's your power? What is your position? Are you excited about it? And then persevere for the things that you really want. Persevere, be persistent about what you really truly want. And then you can get back your purpose and your passion. So my book goes through those chronicles. They all are related to each other. And some people don't even want to even after they've read the book and gone through the online courses. Can you believe they don't even want to meet me? But you should come on to some of these group classes, and so we can talk one-to-one and we get to know each other one-to-one, because I had the hardest time trying to track people down that I've helped, because they were like, "Oh, I got it. Oh, we got it. We got it. We got it. You remember you told me?" I said, "Yeah, I told you what happened with that." And then I had to get them to tell me what they were doing. That's how I caught up with Tanya. And now she's a principal. So yeah, it started with the online courses and now it's evolved. And my book is almost like a seal for everything else that I do. So it's an introduction to me.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, I think what you do is pretty fantabulous, may I just say, because again, I have a whole different appreciation, Kendria, of teachers. During this pandemic, I think it's been an eye opener, and they've helped so many parents, that had to become teachers during that time. And I think if they didn't appreciate that before, my kids are grown and gone, but I'm just saying, I can imagine the mothers really understand, because they were put in that position and they were going a little cray cray. I might just add, what were some of the issues you found that some of your clients since the pandemic are dealing with?
Boundaries.
Mm.
Yeah, boundaries. When we were all at home, this happened to me too. Again, I'm not exempt. I'm still teaching. When you're all at home and there's no separation of work and home, you're teaching from your living room. The parents just had, the parents and the administrators and people that you work with, they would call you all day, every day. I was getting phone calls at midnight about, grades and things like that. I'm like, that would have never happened in a normal, traditional way, because, we take care of our business at school and then we leave it there. But the parents and everybody, I remember getting a phone call in the middle of the night about your grades are due. I'm like, you couldn't tell me that? You couldn't text that or email that? But yeah, so boundaries had to be put back in place. So last year when we all went back face to face, I had a hard time reestablishing boundaries with parents, because they were calling on the weekends, 8:30 at night, 9:30 at night, 10:30 at night. Well, this is the only time I get free time. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm trying to go to bed.
Yeah.
So I had issues with that. And so I found out a lot of my teacher friends, same. They had the same issues. They did not know how to say no to a parent without, being disrespectful or anything like that. They didn't know how to not, they cared too much about what the parent would think about them telling them no and putting the boundaries around it, whereas I did not. Yeah, because she was like, she told the principal to call me. And I think it was 10:30, and the principal said, "I'm not going to call Miss Kendra at that Miss Johnson at that hour, because I know she's asleep and she doesn't take phone calls that late. Well, I'm going to call the superintendent. You do that."
Yeah.
Because I don't want to answer the phone. I'm like, I don't answer phone. It's not an emergency. And parents didn't get that. I'm like, you wanting to know about what's going on in the classroom at 10:30 at night does not constitute an emergency for me. That can wait till the next day. Because what did you want to know about? Homework, tests, projects, grades. That can wait.
Yeah.
And that was a very difficult thing for them. Eventually it took 3 months and a whole bunch of complaining and a whole bunch of parent conferences with the principals to explain to them that, no, your teacher has a life too. Teachers have a right to have their office hours be cut off after dark. They have a right to say, she has every right to tell you that. And they eventually they did stick up. They stuck up for me, because it wasn't that they needed to stick up for me because I could stick up for myself. But what I told them was, you're not going to be able to do that. Well, that's other teachers. That's not me. You're not going to be able to do that. My weekends are for me. My nights are for me. I give you
boundaries and balance, right? Boundaries and balance.
It's a rough road.
Yeah. How do you feel this will help the teachers shortage? Do you expect it? The more people take your program, do you think this is going to end that problem, or at least put a dent in it?
We'll try to put a dent in it. Okay. What my program will probably help is the retention rates. maybe we can stop losing them to begin with. You know what I mean? Like we keep more teachers than we having to replace, if that makes sense. Because I feel like the people that need to hear what I do are superintendents and principals and HOFs and heads of faculty and heads of departments, because they're the ones that I don't hear from enough about what's going on. Because teachers, I hear them because I'm on the same level as them. But the people at the top, I know that they're stressed and they're having issues as well. And they're probably burnt out in their own way about having to replace all these teachers. Dang, we just lost another one. We just lost another good teacher. When you talking about 20 years of experience walking out of the door, 15 years, 10 years of experience walking out of the door because they're fed up, right? So I'm sure that they have their own set of issues that I could be more than happy. My program will be more than me and my program and my staff and my team. We would love to hire more people to help you with that problem. Yeah. And then eventually my goal is to branch out, to trademark this program and to be able to train other teachers to do exactly what I'm doing in their neck of the woods, exactly where they are. And then once that happens, yeah, and then we can be responsible. This program will be responsible for changing the narrative for teachers and administrators and schools, because there's a teacher shortage, but there is no children shortage. The kids keep coming. The kids ain't stop coming. They're gonna keep coming.
They're gonna keep
they're gonna keep coming. We need somebody in these classrooms, because what is it gonna look like in 10 years if we keep losing teachers?
Yeah.
What's the classroom gonna look like? Gonna be 50-1. That's not good.
So listen, everyone, if you like what you do but are exhausted from overworking, this is for you. What she's talking about is for you. If you want to leave your profession without, I guess you could say, what if they want to leave their profession without having to actually leave their job?
Yeah,
she's got a formula, and in fact, it's a proven formula, and process that if you just follow it, you can keep the profession that you love. You don't have to leave your job. You can have that balance. You can set your boundaries and the priorities of what will get you through. She's going to show you how you can continue doing what you do, doing what you love without going cray-cray, pulling out your hair. And finally, if there was a simple formula that could help you beat the burnout and get back to a balanced life, wouldn't you want to know about it? I mean, wouldn't you want those insider secrets? Well, that's what Kendria Johnson can help you with. Not tomorrow, starting today. All you have to do is reach out and connect with her. And how do they do that?
Well, there's several ways. You can go to my website, my personal website, which is www.iamkendria.com, KENDRIA.com. Or email is my best. That's my jam, because I keep my phone with me all the time. So if you want to email me, it's my first name, which is KENDRIAJ05@gmail.com. I will get that immediately and set up something. If you want to set something up one-to-one, or if you want to join our group classes, I got another first group class this weekend, and I have them every month at the end, the fourth Saturday of the month, where they talk directly to me. They talk directly to me, and they can ask me questions about whatever they want to do, because you can test me out. I'm good. You don't have to just take my word for it. Come to test me out. Ask me some questions and I got you.
Yeah. Kendria Johnson, Teach for Life. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to share before we go?
No, just make sure if you have any extra questions, if you want to meet with me one-to-one, I'm always available. Now, my time is limited, but you can always contact that, email me, or go to my website. There's a phone number there. There's a WhatsApp there. There's everything you need there. Copies of the book, copies of the online course are there. If you want to get into that first, that's an introduction to me as well. And anything you need to know, I'm available.
There you have it. You are tuned in to TalkShow Maven Live. My guest today is Kendria Johnson, Teach for Life. Hey, if you're a teacher or you know a teacher, stop trying to figure it out. Stop feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, and feeling like, I don't want to do this, when you know that being a teacher is your passion. You just need to find a simpler and more effective way. And you know who's got it? This lady right here. All right. I'm Raven Blair Glover, Raven, the Talk Show Maven. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing edition of Talk Show Maven Live. And we will see you next time. But for now, bye-bye.
I absolutely positively cannot say enough about Teacher of the Year. My name is Kiana. I am an educator, a longtime educator, and Teacher of the Year has truly been life-changing. It helped me to discover a couple of things. One was for me to be just as passionate about my self-care as I am about the classroom. Oftentimes as educators, we forget about ourselves and we just give, but we matter. We matter and we are a part of the equation. So therefore, it's extremely important to take care of ourselves, to go home at the designated time, to not take work home, things of that nature. And that was very much an eye-opener for me, like an aha moment in reading Teacher of the Year, that self-care is extremely important. But also, it helped me to discover my passion, to renew my passion and discover my why. Why did I begin even many years ago as I did in the teaching profession? So I'm focused on the why, being passionate about that first remembrance of education, but to also take care of myself in the process. So I strongly encourage everyone to go out and grab your copy today. Woohoo for Teacher of the Year.
Teacher. Today I wanted to tell you a great book that's written by a great lady. The book name is Teacher of the Year and lady name is Kendria J. It's a great book. Being a teacher, I always find a lot of stress because it's a part of work, because being a professional teacher, we having a lot of work every time we are talking about our classes, our children's, our work, our documentations, our KHD, lot of other things we are talking, we are thinking. At the same time, we are also thinking about our professional, personal life. But we could not manage these two things properly. And secondly, we are also losing our health day by day. This book is great in which she explained every point in a very simple way how to maintain all these things together. And that's why he wrote the name of this book, The Teacher of the Year. You will find through this book some great points, and that will be helpful for you to maintain your professional and personal life. And in this book, he also explained how to reduce your stress, because in the way, being a teacher, we having a lot of stress. And this book is amazing. I recommend it to you. You should read at least one time. You will find it's a good book. Goodbye.